America, this is our country, this is my country, and this is your country. Through blood, sweat, and toil, our ancestors formed this nation to become the great example of freedom that it is today. We've become a bright light to shine the way in a dark world whose citizens are enslaved by their governments. We live in a nation of peace, a nation of potential, and a nation that lets us choose for ourselves the path that we should take. Our freedom is the backbone of our strength, the drive for our advancement, and the security of our peace, and it is our spirit of freedom that keeps us free. It is by this freedom that we are even able to meet here today and worship God. But this freedom didn't always exist. It was born on the sacrifice and bravery of those who would dare stand against a tyrannical king and proclaim their own sovereignty, as Patrick Henry did. He said, "Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." Patrick Henry's spirit was driven by a greater power than that of the King of England. He knew that freedom was endowed by his Creator long before the foundations of this earth were ever formed. Another founding father, John Dickinson, he said, "The rights essential to happiness, we claim them from a higher source, from the King of Kings and the Lord of all the earth. They are not annexed to us by parchment and seals. No, our spirit of freedom did not come from a corruptible earthly ruler or a founding father's whim. Our spirit of freedom came from God, and it is by this spirit that we have forged a great country, a free country under God." spirit of freedom transcended thought and actions and life in a physical form to constantly remind us of the stand we take against tyranny. Though they may not be seen as much individually, the red, white, and blue pieces of fabric that are woven together in the American flag tell the story of men and women woven from many nations that pledged together their lives, their fortunes, and even their sacred honor. They voted to separate the 13 original colonies from England and to form a new nation under God. In May of 1776, before America had ever declared its independence, George Washington and 2 members of the Continental Congress stepped into a small upholstery shop owned by none other than Betsy Ross. A year later, on June 14th, 1777, the first official American flag with 13 stripes and 13 stars began to wave across a young nation, stirring the hearts of the American people. It was the embodiment of sacrifice, of courage, of honor, of life, and even our freedom. It became a symbol of beauty that stretches far beyond the color and the texture. It compels tears to flow from gazing eyes. We gladly pledge ourselves today to this great symbol of our freedom. Would you stand with me as we pledge our allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you please remain standing while we sing our national anthem? You're free, please, to join us as we sing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave, of the brave.
You may be seated. In America's pre-independent history, the British soldiers used to scoff at our militia, and for due reason. You see, the militias had a reputation of retreating and having a lack of order, far different than today's military. They were often mocked by the regular soldiers who had extensive training in elegant uniforms. A British surgeon named Dr. Richard Shuckburgh wrote a song to ridicule this unkempt troops, and it became a common marching theme of the Redcoats. He referred to the Americans as Yankee Doodles, doodle being a play on the German word for fool or simpleton. He noticed that these Yankee Doodles, they weren't as ornate as the British. Not only that, the British wore wigs commonly referred to as macaroni. His inference struck at their attempt at high fashion when it mentioned that they were attempting to live up to the British elegance by sticking a feather in their cap. Well, this song was widely spread and loved by the hearts of the colonists. Americans were happy with the lives that they lived in this great land, and they embraced the song. In fact, they even turned it back on the British themselves as it became a rallying cry for our troops. Their tune taunted the Redcoats after the Battle of Lexington and Concord, and it was proudly played when the British surrendered at Saratoga. No, our Yankees, they weren't high class. They didn't wear nice clothes, and they didn't even have extensive training, but they had God on their side, and to them that was fine and dandy. Well, feel free to join and sing with us this song that finds its roots in our quest for freedom. In 1893, while sitting on the beautiful Pikes Peak near Colorado Springs, Colorado, Catherine Lee Bates gazed over the majestic landscape of America. Many writers in America's past had attempted to sum up the beauty of this great country in word and poem, but none more elegantly described it than Catherine Bates did. The words began to flow to her, and she quickly penned them down upon returning to her small hotel room. The poem was published 2 years later to commemorate Independence Day. A few years earlier, Samuel Ward had also been inspired to write the music that came to him while visiting Coney Island in New York. The words and music were married together in 1910 and entitled the familiar tune we now know as America the Beautiful. Well, as America grew older, she also grew larger. She constantly expanded her borders to the west and south, claiming vast amounts of land. Cities and towns sprang up everywhere, and the landscape changed forever. As Americans settled west, new states were added to our union. These states were chiseled by the blades of plows and axes of men and women set out in the pursuit of happiness. They were proud of the land that they began to call home. It was their land to own. It was their state in the union, and I'm so glad we have 50 states in our union.
U.S. geography. The teacher said, would you stand up and list the states for me? My knees began a-knocking, my words fell out all wrong. Then suddenly I burst out with a silly little song. Alabama and Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, and Connecticut, and more, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, and Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, so 35 to go. Kansas and Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, and good old Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, and Montana, then Nebraska's 27, number 28's Nevada. Next, New Hampshire and New Jersey, and way down New Mexico. There's New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, now let's see, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, and there's Utah, Vermont, I'm almost through, Virginia, and there's Washington, and West Virginia too. Could Wisconsin be the last one, or is it 49? No, Wyoming is the last state in the 50 states that rhyme. When I sat down all out of breath, the teacher said, that's great. I'm quite impressed. You were the best at listing all your states. But if you wanna get an A for that silly little rhyme, step back up and sing that song, but do it double time. Alabama and Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, and Connecticut, and more, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, and Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, still 35 to go. Kansas and Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, and good old Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, and Montana, then Nebraska's 27, number 28's Nevada. Next, New Hampshire and New Jersey, and way down New Mexico. There's New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, now let's see, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, and there's Utah, Vermont, I'm almost through, Virginia, and there's Washington, and West Virginia too. Could Wisconsin be the last one, or is it 49? No, Wyoming is the last state in the 50 states that rhyme. No, Wyoming is the last state in the 50 states that rhyme.
Well, today we're so blessed to have many heroes among us who have given of themselves to make America great. These heroes among us have sacrificed time away from their wives, husbands, children, and families. They have traveled near, far, and around the globe to protect us. They have at times given of their liberty, set aside their dreams, given of their time, and some even of their lives. For what? For this country, for you, and for me. And today, we honor you. This next song is called the Salute to the Armed Forces. And we would ask that if you're with us today and you have served in a branch of the military, that when you hear your branch being represented by song, to come, please make your way to the front and stand down front. When they do that, we'd ask the rest of us to give them a round of applause to thank them for their service. And while your branch is being represented, if you have a family member that is serving or has served in a branch, to you please also stand out the audience. So would you please enjoy this song, Salute to Our Armed Forces, and let us say thank you to them.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, to meet our conquer, and the boys here in the dawn. Round the eyes, like a wave of thunder, off with one terrible roar. We live and dream of a coming flame, where nothing can stop the U.S. war. Over hill, over dale, we have picked the dusty trail, as those masons were rolling along. In and out, hear the shout, now they're marching all about, as those masons were rolling along. For it's high in the field artillery. Shout out your numbers on its 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And wherever you go, you will always know that those masons were rolling along. Anchors aweigh, my boys, anchors aweigh. Farewell to college rise, we sail at break of day, 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 day. To our last time on shore, wherever we roam, until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in Thee. Through holly dale and shove, to win the victory. Semper Paratus is our guide, our pledge, our motto true. We're always ready to war time. Fight, we'll start with fight for you. From the halls of Montezuma to the shore of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and sea. First we fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honored plea. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. for the price and the sacrifice you gave to us. It was amazing. I don't know if you watched, but as a family stood around the auditorium, there was hardly someone who was not affected and who not give something for our country. Thank you so much. Also, as you look around this auditorium, you'll see the red, white, and blue. But we talked about the flag, but I'd like to talk about it again. Because this red, white, and blue fills our hearts with pride when you see that flag raised. I hope you noticed it as you drove onto the property this morning out front, the red, white, and blue. I noticed it at the Olympics when America wins a gold medal, the red, white, and blue. And there's pride that fills my heart and fills each of our hearts. See, that flag, it does stand for so much more. It stands for the men and women who are up here and those who couldn't be up or who are out serving our country right now and today. It stands for families who have said goodbye, families who have said hello again. See, that flag stands for freedom, liberty, and justice. And it truly is a grand old flag.
Glory as you ride the morning breeze. We are moved by untold memories. We're blessed in countless ways in this land we love. And sometimes we take for granted what's been passed along to us. There are countries without freedom where war is just a part of life, while we count on safety beneath the stars and stripes. So forever in peace may you reign, across this great and mighty land, where hope abound and justice stand. When we see
all know there's a price for freedom's ring, and many have surrendered everything to keep our colors promised, one nation under God. Every sacrifice they give has made this sacred song. Now when liberty is threatened, we will not bow to fear. We'll rise and defend you, and we'll keep this vision clear, so clear. And forever in peace may you reign across this great and mighty land. Let hope abound and justice stand. When we see you fight and know that we are free, how we pray. And forever in peace may you reign. Forever in peace may you
Our freedom has been challenged by enemies at home and by enemies abroad. Our country, though great, needs not just a social freedom, needs not just an economic freedom, not even a freedom of religion or rights. Our freedom, or our country needs a freedom that comes only from our Savior, Jesus Christ, a freedom that is offered from the bondage of sin. We have been blessed with some truly great leaders who have seen these ideals, who have believed these values. And would you listen with me as we hear one of our great presidents, President Ronald Reagan, voice these thoughts.
Someone asked me whether I was aware of all the people out there who were praying for the president. And I had to say, yes, I am. I felt it. I believe in intercessionary prayer. But I couldn't help but say to that questioner after, that sometimes when he was praying, he got a busy signal. It was just me in there ahead of him. I think I understand how Abraham Lincoln felt when he said, I have been driven many times to my knees by the overwhelming conviction that I had nowhere else to go. Now I realize it's fashionable in some circles to believe that no one in government should encourage others to read the Bible. That we're told that we'll violate the constitutional separation of church and state established by the Founding Fathers in the First Amendment. The First Amendment was not written to protect people and their laws from religious values. It was written to protect those values from government tyranny. I've said that we must be cautious in claiming God is on our side. I think the real question we must answer is, are we on His side? No matter where we live, we have a promise that can make all the difference. A promise from Jesus to soothe our sorrows, heal our hearts, and drive away our fears. He promised there will never be a dark night that does not end. Our weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. He promised if our hearts are true, His love will be as sure as sunlight. And by dying for us, Jesus showed how far our love should be ready to go. All the way. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. We all perish. Americans yearn to explore life's deepest truths, and to say their entertainment, or their idea of entertainment, is sex and violence and crime, is an insult to their goodness and intelligence. We are people who believe love can triumph over hate, creativity over destruction, and hope over despair. And that's why so many millions hunger for God's good news. I've always believed that each of us put here for a reason, that there is a plan. somehow a divine plan for all of us. I know now that whatever days are left to me belong to him. I also believe this blessed land was set apart in a very special way. Our forebears came not for gold, but mainly in search of God and the freedom to worship in their own way. We've been a free people living under the law with faith in our Maker and in our future. I've said before that the most sublime picture in American history is of George Washington on his knees in the snow at Valley Forge. That image personifies a people who know that it's not enough to depend on our own courage and goodness. We must also seek help from God, our Father and Preserver. We'll never find every answer, solve every problem, or heal every wound, but we can do a lot if we walk together down that one path that we know provides real hope. The morality and values such faith implies are deeply embedded in our national character. Our country embraces those principles by design, and we abandon them at our peril. My experience in this office I hold has only deepened a belief I've held for many years. Within the covers of that single book are all the answers to all the problems that face us today if we'd only read and believe.
We're a nation built on freedom, but freedom isn't free. We're a nation built on sacrifice, a land of liberty. And the cross is on 1,000 fields around the world today, are a testimony of the price brave soldiers had to pay. And I'm so thankful for those who stand up for the red, white, and blue, for those who put their lives on the line. And I'm proud to say that I live in the USA. This is a land of the free. This is a home of the brave. This is a land of liberty, the USA. So as time has come and time has gone in this land of the free, we've had soldiers rise and soldiers fall for our right to liberty. Now we honor them and their families for the sacrifice they made. Yet our nation stands as a citadel for the price that they paid. And I'm so thankful for those who stand up for the red, white, and blue, for those who put their lives on the line. And I'm proud to say that I live in the USA. This is a land of the free. This is a home of the brave. This is a land of liberty, the USA. This is a land of the free, the home of the brave, the land of liberty, the USA.